My name is Emily. This is my story. I didn't grow up going to church. It was never a question as to whether or not God was real. I always knew He existed, but it was religion that I had the issue with. I grew up with no real religious influence in my life other than my extended family going to Catholic Mass. And even then it was just for holidays and special occasions, weddings, funerals. God was not somebody that you had a relationship with. He was somebody that you prayed to before you ate dinner. And even then, it was never a real connection because everything that was said was already laid out for you. There was no freedom. It was strict rules. Like Christianity was jumping into this tiny little box and being confined to certain things and certain ways, and saying things and not saying things, and doing certain things and not doing certain things. And so I was, from a young age, put off from the idea of religion and Christianity in general. If life is a gift, it's mine to do with what I want. Right? As I grew up and became a teenager in middle school and high school, I was around a lot of Christian people. I didn't get it, and I didn't want to get it. I was pretty sure I wasn't going to hell because I believed in God. Oh, I was 15. I started working here at Skycroft. I worked in the snack bar during summer camp. I moved to San Diego, California when I was 19. I wouldn't say I moved to San Diego to find myself, because in my own head I knew who I was, and I was awesome. I was great. I didn't need anyone. I just lived, you know, with no regard to my future. I lived in the moment. Started believing in love and feeling good. And at some point in my life, feeling good meant experimenting with drugs and drinking and boys, until I realized how temporary those things were, and I kind of started to feel bad, and I felt this guilt. Even though in my head I had myself convinced that they weren't wrong, there was something inside me that was saying, Emily, you know that those are wrong, and this temporary high is not fulfilling. I was in a relationship with this guy for 3 years, and when that ended, I came back to Maryland. I got involved here at Skycroft and with Doug and Peter and Grace doing the preparations for the first year of Recharge. Doug offered to let me do video, and I thought, oh, this is going to be weird. Here I am, this non-Christian, trying to spread the message of God, and I don't even know what that is. All that summer I knew that God was with me, and I knew that I could feel His presence, and not that I ignored it, but again, I just wouldn't admit it. And by the next summer I decided I wanted to come home and work camp again. And I felt so positive and welcomed, and like I had a purpose here. I wasn't looking forward to going back to San Diego, where I felt like there was nothing waiting for me, just life. I'd finally gotten to the point where living life wasn't enough. I went to bed the night before I left, and I prayed. I'm really hesitant, but if you want me on your team, then you need to do something. I got on the plane, put on my iPod, and I played the first album that was on there. Maybe I'll hear something. And then I realized I was crying. And I started to listen to the song, and it's called Come As You Are. I just felt God telling me, you know, you can't You can't try to find the answers before you give in. You have to give in to find the answers. It's time to surrender. And I thought, I don't know what I'm doing. I can't fight it anymore. I can't keep ignoring God's presence in my life. And I fought it. I fought it for so long. And in that moment, God just said, it's okay. It's time. And I gave in. I said, all right, God, show me what you got. I'm not going to fight it anymore. At 30,000 feet in the air, somewhere above Kentucky, I think, I surrendered. That was a year ago. For me, it was never about somebody sitting down and explaining the gospel to me. It was never about that one person that took the time to tell me about Jesus. It was never about altar calls and invitations. It was never me hitting rock bottom and realizing that I needed Jesus. It was a slow and steady process of just relationship after relationship after relationship of all of these people in my life just showing me the true nature of who Jesus really was. I lost trust in myself and I gained trust in God. His plan, not mine.